Hey there guys, and welcome back to another video, and today in this video I'm going to be reviewing the Daleks Collector's Tin Audio CD box set. Now, since I've reviewed the David Tennant collection, I thought it'd be quite interesting just to review some little oddities that I've got in my collection that some people may not have heard of. I can imagine some people may not have seen the David Tennant collection because it came out, I think it might have been 2015, because I remember seeing it at the Doctor Who festival, but I haven't seen it around since then really. I haven't seen it in the shops or anything like that, so I can imagine that set's probably quite rare. So in this next couple of videos I'm just going to be showing you a couple of box sets that I suppose are only a little bit rare. I mean, you can probably still get them for a decent price, but without any further ado, let's take a look at the box set itself. And as you can see, it's quite a simple design. It just says Doctor Who Daleks on the front cover, and it contains The Power of the Daleks, The Evil of the Daleks, and My Life as a Dalek, which is a documentary presented by Mark Gatiss, or Gatiss, however you like to pronounce it. So it's quite a cool little box. So you can see it's got Dalek slats and grills on the bottom there, and that just goes all the way around, which is pretty cool. And I'm mainly doing this just for those who have literally never heard of this box set before, but I thought I'd just go through the whole package really. And then you've got the back of the box, which has some really nice artwork of Daleks on it. But what bugs me about the back of the box is only a minor nitpick, but I think it might have just been a design error or something, but I don't know. You may notice that the Dalek in front here, its eye stalk is missing, which it does bug my OCD a little bit, but it's only a minor nitpick really, but that's about it. So let's take a look inside the box and see what we have in here. So here's Evil of the Daleks. Now these are the radio collection versions. They did do a reprint of these as part of the Lost TV Episodes collection box sets, which are quite expensive these days. They seem to retail around 70 quid, or depending on how much you want to pay for them, I'd say that's probably a little bit much, because I paid 40 quid. Well, I got mine for Christmas in 2013, and it cost me about 40 quid, or cost my parents about 40 quid, I should say. So there's Evil of the Daleks. I'll talk about the stories individually in a moment. We've got Power of the Daleks there, and we've also got the little documentary, which is My Life as a Dalek, which I'll touch briefly on later on in the video. And then you've got the little bit of information here of what's the contents of the box. I won't go through it because I've literally just shown you what's in the box, but there is some additional information. So it says the total running time is 6 hours and 10 minutes, which is quite a long time, so I wouldn't advise listening to it all in one go, otherwise you probably want to kill yourself. So yeah, I would advise not doing that. So let's start off with Power of the Daleks. So I'll just give my brief thoughts. Now, when I did an unboxing of this particular box set, I stated that one of the reasons that I was attracted to this set is that some of the CDs were signed. So as you can see, it's signed by Annika Wills. That's Mark Hare's signature, and I think that might be Roy Skelton's signature there, who did the Dalek voices, I believe. But I might be wrong about that, because I'm still not 100% sure who that signature is. So yeah, there's the back, if you want to just pause that and have a closer look. Hopefully the camera quality is decent enough. It looks like it's pretty decent. But yeah, so Power of the Daleks. A lot of you probably would have heard of this story. It's an absolutely fantastic Doctor Who story, and it was recently animated in 2016. And they animated it because of the fact it was the story's 50th anniversary, I believe, and they wanted to get the animation out in time for the 50th anniversary. And as a result of that, it did end up looking a little bit rushed, but you can't really blame them given the time constraints that they were put under. But it's a great soundtrack, and if I'm honest, I kind of prefer listening to the soundtrack because there's some great narration by Annika Wills, and it's just a really, really great story, and it's a very pacey story, and I would recommend getting your hands on the reconstruction as well if you want to experience the story more. I've got a friend, and this is his favourite story of all time, and I think he absolutely loves this story, and to be honest, I can see why, because it is an absolute classic. The Daleks are probably at their best here, and to be honest, you can't really go wrong with it. There's very few minor faults. I can't really think of any that I can't really think of anything wrong with this story. It's just perfection almost. Yeah, part of the Daleks. I don't know much there else to say on it, because I'm sure most of you would probably have experienced this story in some form or another, because it is fantastic. And I would recommend checking out the Target novel as well. It's not as rare these days, you can still get it for a decent price, so I recommend tracking that down and getting that. So that's Power of the Daleks, which I'll put here. And then we have Eve of the Daleks. Now, for those of you who've been with me for, I don't know, say since 2013, you'll probably know that Evil of the Daleks at the time was my favourite story of all time. But since then, as much as I love this story, I've got to say it's sort of gone down my list a bit. I still love this story, because when I first listened to the story, I was absolutely blown away by it. But overall, I think it's still a masterpiece in for the most part. I just think that it does drag a little bit in some parts. But the problem is, I think the story needs to be 7 parts, because of the fact there's so many ideas and so many characters, and a lot of good characters as well. I mean, it's got a great script, and it features the Emperor Dalek, if you can see that on the front cover. So I've technically got 2 copies. Well, I have got 2 copies of this story. The other copy is part of the Lost TV Episodes box set, which is like a version that's a little bit more restored, I think. But definitely worth tracking down, and it's got some great narration by Fraser Hines, who plays Jamie there. It's just a really, really good story, and you can see on the front cover the Dalek there's fallen over, bless him. But absolutely fantastic story. If you want to look at the back of this, feel free to read the synopsis. It's quite a long blurb. It's still one of my favourite Doctor Who stories, without a doubt. It's just that I think when I re-listened to this or watched the recon a while ago, I just found a few more problems with it. I think I just loved it so much the first time, I didn't really take into consideration its problems that it's got. It does have problems, and unfortunately, because of that, I don't regard it as high anymore, because Inferno, which is a Third Doctor story, has overtaken this story as my favourite story of all time in recent years. But say what you will about these 2 particular stories being overrated and whatnot, I still think they're fantastic, and definitely worth a listen if you can get your hands on this. Or you can even download them from iTunes if you can't find a physical copy. I'd still recommend doing that. I think you just might have heard a motorbike go past outside my house, but if you didn't hear that, then that's better, I suppose. But yeah, definitely a fantastic story. Really recommend it. I recommend this box set entirely, because you got 2 really fantastic stories and 2 great Patrick Troughton stories, so really good stuff. So I'll talk briefly about this little documentary. As you can see, it's presented by Mark Gatiss, and it's quite a simple cover design, really. If you want to pause the back of this, you can. I'll just bring that closer into focus, if you can just see that there. So yeah, it's quite an interesting little documentary. It just basically goes through the history of the Daleks and what it was like to be a Dalek, and some of the actors and stuff like that. So yeah, not really much to say on this. Obviously, it's quite an interesting listen if you're a huge Dalek fan. Yeah, it's quite a nice little bonus to this box set, I suppose, because I think the CD is exclusive to this particular box set, and I don't know if you can get it as a singular release, but I doubt you can. You probably have to get it as part of this box set, which is still worth it, because you still get 2 fantastic Dalek stories alongside this. So it's always worth a buy if you want to listen to this CD. So I guess that pretty much wraps it up for my sort of discussion on these 2 particular stories and this box set in general. So I guess definitely track this box set down if you can. I wouldn't say it's essential. It's not that rare, to be honest, but it is rare, kind of, because it still fetches quite high prices. I mean, I paid about £45 for this, which I'd say is £30 to £45 is about right, I'd say, because it's quite an old box set, and like I said, not many of you may have heard of it, but if you have, that's great. I mean, I'd still recommend tracking it down if you can. But if you can't find a physical copy of this, then try and watch the recon on Daily Motion. I think it might be on there. Or just download it from iTunes. Then that way you can listen to these stories. I don't know if the documentary's on iTunes, but I know the stories are for sure. So I think that pretty much concludes this review. So tell me what you think about this box set. Let me know if you've got it, and let me know what you think of Power and Deal with the Daleks as stories. And yeah, I hope you guys go out and try and track this box set down if you haven't got it already. So thank you very much for watching this video, and I shall see you soon. Bye.